when I hear that people are intimidated or they think that I'm like, you know, reposed or like unapproachable or something, that actually, I hate it. I'm always like, dude, come up, say anything to me. I would love to engage with you. So yeah, maybe that most people find emotion or like overwhelming feeling to be a weakness. And I think that if you just own it and you can live in it, you can utilize it and you can grow and be happier.
I'm here with Kristen Stewart, who's in Toronto. We're going to be talking about equals. We've already been talking a little bit about Kristen earlier today with Julianne Moore, who's here.
Cool.
Who had great things to say. Obviously, you guys did Still Alice. And then,
Liar.
Yeah. And then Nicholas Hoult, who's so grown up from About a Boy. I loved him. He was great.
Yeah, he's great.
It was his first interview of the first festival of the day. So he came in. We were both like, all right, let's settle into it.
That's cute. You haven't seen him since?
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Right.
And we were talking, well, actually, you can kind of speak to this a little bit. I was teasing him about how, you know, the odds are really not in your favor when you're a kid and you're acting and you're so known for something like his, you know, About a Boy, and how now he's like grown up into the 6'3" strapping guy.
Drink a tall glass of water.
Yeah.
You're like,
Exactly.
revealing your, you know, he's just turned into this good guy.
Yeah. Sorry,
he seems
am I
nice.
blushing? Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy. Yeah, no, it's interesting when you're, because as a kid, usually people sort of capitalize on this innocence, like an unaffected, captured quality, and then so as you get older, it gets old as well. And so unless you have something, unless you're drawn to it for the right reasons and you have more to give, it kind of just becomes a little stale. So the ones that stick out are usually like, you know, it's kind of remarkable. You know, you go, oh wow, it's rare. So, and he's definitely like, I think he's got a lot more to offer. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and I stalked you since I saw you in Panic Ramen when you were like 12 when you did that movie, right? With
yeah,
Fish?
I was 10. I turned 11 on that movie.
Turned 11 on that movie,
Yeah.
right? And I remember, is she old enough yet? Is she old enough yet? Can I do a Vanities? Can I do a Vanities yet? How old is she now? How old is she now? And then we finally did it. I think you were 15 or 16, and then
Yeah.
and then the world took over. It launched you into the stratosphere.
Oh, you were the catalyst. You were definitely, you can lay claim to that.
Thanks. I'll take that. All right, let's talk about equals.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, at its heart, a love story, but it's set in a futuristic world where basically everyone is deemed society will function much better if we have no feelings.
Right. Which is, I think, maybe what we all think when we've been feeling too much of anything. You know, those emotions, whether they are tied to being in love with someone or, you know, tied to an ambition that is, you know, when you're young, seemingly beyond you, or just something that you're passionate about. Like if you think about a world where you take sometimes like seemingly debilitating emotions, if you take those away, if you take the competitive nature away, if you take fear away, and you only are endowed with like an intellectual curiosity, would we function and would we progress without this thing that keeps us all together? My answer to that was like, Drake, I just don't understand this. Why would I even get out of bed? I'm like a total, I don't consider myself like very. I think I've got like this emotional through line that I very much trust. For instance, I can't add 2 and 2 without going 1, 2, 3, 4. Yet I do trust myself in this way that I think is a gift and something that is squashed. It's like if after a breakup, you're totally screwed. And you're like, I never ever want to feel this again. I think that I would be a better person. I think I could function. No, you have to go through it. You have to go through it. You have to feel it. That's what makes us who we are, and that's why that's what is life without that. And so that's kind of what the movie's about.
And you are someone that's very powerful. You have emotionally, you're powerful, your instincts, you're intimidating, your energy is intimidating.
I know.
I know it's not your fault. It's not like it's our projection or our feeling of it.
Right.
You know, it's true.
You're all just terrified. No. I'm terrified. That's the thing. That's you know what I mean? That's like it's people definitely project like insecurities on each other, and all of a sudden it gets really like clouded.
Well, it's interesting that making this movie to now, and the SOS, I love that bit about it. Like SOS is when you're actually having an emotion and you get banished and punished and sent to wherever it is.
Right.
That suppressing that is something obviously you're very good at, and that's what Nicholas was talking about, like living publicly. You kind of get used to that and drawing upon that. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then also, you're 25 now, yeah, right?
Yep.
Wow,
That's weird, right?
Wow.
Honestly,
How does that feel?
It sounds weird to say I'm 25 years old. Yeah, it's maybe because I started when I was so young. I'm used to being the youngest at all times, and it's just not that way anymore, which is fine. But people are more impressed with you when you're younger because it's like, oh, how interesting. She's precocious. It's like, no, now I have to actually contend with being a human. Now I'm equal to everyone. So it's like,
I have that feeling. I was the youngest person a long, long time ago, and now I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not young anymore at all.
Right.
I can relate to it. But let's talk a little bit about
subduing.
Subduing and kind of, because I think more than anybody else, you've had to endure more of that than any other actor of your generation. And I know people talk about, well, it didn't used to be that way, there didn't used to be all this stuff, there wasn't all this pressure, but your situation is exceptional.
'Tis.
And I want to kind of talk a little bit about that for this movie. And was that kind of maybe your decision to take on this part a bit?
Yeah, like anybody who might perceive me as guarded in a given context, typically speaking, it would be a really superficial, fleeting interview that means nothing to me. Therefore, I cannot fully invest myself in it because it would be a lie. And so it's like that I'm actually kind of working against myself in this weird way. It comes across as the opposite. But really what I'm dying to do as an actor and as a person all the time is to reveal myself, because I want to get to know that. There's this constant curiosity and like desire to get down to it as an actor. So I just am so opposed. I have this aversion, this really strong aversion to feeling subject to something that doesn't feel real to me. And so then all of a sudden I get weird and then so I kind of put off this opposite thing. But the hardest part about this movie was probably feeling these really fundamental, basic firsts, the first love and first sunrise, the first time you've been affected by physical beauty, the first time you just feel really in touch with the animal inside of you. And as women, I think obviously we feel more of, or we're allowed to. It's not acceptable for women to be more emotional because that's obviously very weak. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's our strength if you can balance it. We're not with it's like the pragmatic approach is not always the loudest or most pragmatic approach is not always the one that instills a growth. It's like women can. I just love the emotional backbone that women can provide to a male-female relationship. He so quintessentially represents the strength of a man, and I so quintessentially within this movie represent the strength of a woman. I loved that. I loved the balance of those two. And the hardest part was not the bloodletting. That part was a relief. Like, it was a relief to finally let things out. It was a relief to communicate, to talk, to acknowledge your feelings. The hardest part was to stifle them. And obviously, I've done so much of that. I'm so mood oriented. I want to be honest all the time. Like, I want to have a real conversation with whoever's in front of me talking to me, even if it's for 5 minutes in a stupid interview. If you come in a bad mood, if you come in affected by something that is unbeknownst to people, the feeling of just coming in and going, good morning, yeah. There's nothing more painful than that. It makes your body shake. It's like I can't go to work with a cold or with some sort of, maybe I got a fight with my mom or something, or I'm like disagreeing with my brother, and I come to work and go, Kristen, what's wrong? I don't know. I just feel I've got a cold, and my mom was being weird, and I love her, but like, and it's like I can't. I'm an oversharer, and so to keep things in is something I'm familiar with, but it's just so ugly. I hate it. I hate the feeling. I feel so sorry for people when you can see them struggling with hiding what they're feeling. And so it felt really good to do a movie where it was like unabashedly human and down to it, just going to be like there's not even a word for it. Like,
I like the oversharer.
Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah. How is Nicholas to work with?
Amazing. Like, I think Drake conceived of this project with the two of us in mind. I think if either one of us decided to not be down to do it. He would have probably recast both of us. And he's such a good person. You can't fake that. And I think that when you watch the movie, and even for me, just playing against him or with him more, he just has this sort of inability to lie. He's just a very, very genuine person, and most actors always kind of feel, you know, the not-so-good ones feel like they're always, like, tricking you or getting something over you. Like, they're like, you know, they've got this plan in mind or something. And he was so open to the experience and so willing to hurt himself and think about stuff that sucks and think about stuff that's great and just be in it that... So, like, me, Drake, and Nick, by the end of this, really had gone through something that was captured rather than, like, packaging and delivering a story, you know.
Well, you're both the perfect age, and you've had enough heartbreak and life experience to make this kind of movie. Because you couldn't have really, you know, it's like you have to grow, you have to live a little.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was younger, I probably, if I had done this movie at 18, I could have projected those feelings because they're inside of you. You know, they're inside of you when you're born. That's all of your instincts to want a couple. All of your instincts to want, you know, you have these ideals. And I think I probably would have idolized the movie in a way that would have made it less ambiguous and more romantic. And the whole point of this movie is to show how deeply you can fall and how convinced how sure you can be about something, and then the how that grows and changes and ebbs and flows, and how your ideals can be shattered, but that doesn't lessen the beauty. It's just that life's hard and it's not clear, and there's an ambiguity that sort of just makes it never ending. You know, it's like once you decide who you are and who you're with, maybe those hold hands, maybe they don't. To think that that's the end all, to think that that's like the goal,
right, is
so boring. It's like, no, you have no idea. Oh, you just figured yourself out? Oh, you're in love with someone and you think you're done? Oh, you're even going to marry them? Fantastic. Call me in 5 years.
Yeah, it's just
so
the
it's
beginning.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's totally just the beginning.
Yeah.
You're the first American actress to win ever in France. Like, that's a big deal. The César, am I saying it right?
César, yeah. César, I can't even. I don't know, Caesar. I was like, hail Caesar! Thank you. I was so out of place. Yeah.
Can you take me through that experience a little bit? I just want to know what that was like, because the French are a little intimidating, and that's a big deal to get, and it was made headlines around the world that they gave it to an American.
I'm huge in France. Just like, really. Yeah, it was cool. Like, I worked with Olivier Assayas, who is coveted in that country for very good reason, and also Juliette Binoche, who is even more just sort of like, you know, a treasure, and classically. And I stepped into a world that I'm incredibly attracted to, but that is much more rare in the States. You know, there's a commitment to risk in French cinema that is really courageous and very starkly different from what we do here. The people that I want to work with in the States have that, but they're just harder to find. Most people want a sure equation. They want to be able to plug in the pieces and say, okay, this is a good idea and we're all inspired by this, but at the end of the day, we know it's a good idea. Over there, they're just like, no, we're exploring this and meditating on a subject just for the sake of it, because that's what we do. We're artists. And so to be accepted in that world was like, you know, unbelievable. Also, Juliette was like, it will never happen. The French, it is insane that you were even considered to be nominated. And I was like, okay, cool. Then I don't have to learn any French. Then I can just hang out with you. And then she screamed in my ear and was just like, oh my God, you won. She was like baffled. And I was like, come on, were you that surprised? But I was like, but we were shocked, honestly. It was like,
yeah,
unprecedented. So I'm really happy. And also I'm working with Olivier soon in November again.
What are you doing?
It's called Personal Shopper. It's an original screenplay. He wrote it.
Great title already. Like,
yeah.
I'm already kind of intrigued.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it takes place in, it's a sort of very obscure existential ghost story that also has a bit of an awareness and set in the context of the fashion world. It has an element of that too. So who knows? He's quite meta. You know what I mean? Like his stuff recently, especially, or at least concerning me, has sort of been really topical for like my position. You know what I mean? Like Sils Maria, I play a personal assistant. In this next one, I play a personal shopper. So it's like a world that I'm very, very close to, but I can sort of role reverse and make a comment on it.
How was that being you're the personal assistant to a famous actress, and yeah, you must have had a little bit of hands-on experience.
Yeah, it was protective. Nobody could have. I think I would be a great assistant to an actress. I was just like really reveled some of those lines and comments. It's not like they're not making grand statements, but I think it's an emotional movie. But at the end of the day, nobody really could have walked out of a train station and quite said like, "Oh, good, the cockroaches aren't here." Like nobody really knows what it's like, to really feel like taken from and like. I was so protective of her. Even like when we weren't working, I would open every door and be like, "Hey, Juliet, are you okay?" And now when I see her, I have this like maternal. Even though I think that she's like a total, I look up to her. She's like a big sister for me, but I still feel like her mother.
Right, your DNA just gets re-scrambled, and you're right back to that.
Right back.
Yeah. Well, I was saying earlier, I kind of hate sharing you. I don't mind sharing you with the fashion world, but
Aren't you kind of in the, Vanity Fair?
Well,
no,
Vanity
it's completely
Fair
different. No, that's much different. Yeah.
We are a little bit, but
you hold hands sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I feel you.
But how is that for you? You have fun with that? Because I know Fashion Week was just happening, and you have some stuff with Chanel. And do you enjoy that partnership? Of course, you have to say you enjoy it, but
I love it. Cece? No. I would.
They did make you a backpack. So that's pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
Got rid of the JanSport or whatever it was for years. So that's pretty cool.
No, it's like actresses have this amazing default relationship with fashion just by coincidence. Like we're allowed to step into a world we have nothing to do with. And within that world, I think that there are, I've just encountered the best and the worst of people. And I've worked with Chanel for a long time. Like they've dressed me a few times. I met Carl on a shoot years ago, and they dressed Juliet for Sils Maria, a lot of it. And it was just a kind of a natural progression. It made sense because I was in that movie, and I love those girls. And the house, the way that it works, it's so artistic, and it's so not wanky, even though they're at the top.
Right.
You feel genuine artistry, and you feel like warmth from them, and it's such a small group of people making it happen that I was literally drawn to them because I like to be around people that are compulsively creating. Even if I have nothing to do with dresses and I have no idea, I could never I think it's beautiful what he does, and I think that it pulls myself out. Like, they find aspects of me that I'm like, oh wow, I had no idea that I could. This is me. It's not even a lie. I'm actually being honest. This is a version of me, and I think fashion is it's just an incredible art form that for whatever reason we're allowed to take part in.
I love it. How's Joan Jett?
She's good. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man. That was like it was such a shining moment for me. I couldn't believe that she hadn't been inducted years and years ago. I was really stoked to see that. She's got a show in Cali pretty soon. She's great. She's really good. She's like there are a couple women in my life that just are shining examples and have never, even in the relatively short period of time, but long concerning me, time that I've known them, there's a through line commitment to their work that I find more inspiring than like any quality in an established strong woman. Just the tiniest little person without any help, and it came so from her, owned that so much, and it's so inspiring, and it's so sexy, and it's so cool, and she's so talented.
No, she's badass. Yeah. And she looks still fucking great.
She's hot, and she's precious too. Like all of that armor is like it definitely makes her up, but the whole reason that it's that female balance thing. It's like, yeah, she's really hard, but the reason she's so effective, the reason she gets under your skin is because she is a woman. She is a precious, soft, caring, loving, sensitive, fuck off woman. And it's like those things don't usually go together, and it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Wish I could fit on a t-shirt. Freaking amazing.